Michael L. Gross, a philosopher at the University of Haifa in Israel, asks, as a hypothetical question, what if terrorists hide in another country just outside one country's borders among civilians, and from this position send rockets killing persons in one's country? He explains that it would require a different kind of retaliation and breaking certain rules to stop the attacks. He states, confronting terror, that is, grave breaches of humanitarian law, the international community faces a dilemma. Humanitarian law forbids torture and terror, but torture is necessary to prevent terror. Something has to give. One cannot unequivocally condemn both.
This war is different than the past. These enemies will not stop. Their objective is to seek and destroy, nothing more. Human rights should be applied to the humane. We say that those rights are forfeited when a person in question chooses to disregard the rights of others.
We believe that when someone becomes so inhuman that they would hurt innocent people to obtain money, terrorize, or whatever it may be, they should not be granted those same rights offered to mankind.
By no means should we lose ourselves in practicing degrading treatments without check, but harsh interrogations may be essential. After information is obtained, prisoners should be treated civilly.
We must remember that upper-level officials have much more information considering the situation than we know or the media tells us, and base their decisions off their knowledge of that situation. American lives are at stake every day. Captured terrorists know where their associates are hiding, what they are planning, and their important details. These terrorists have devoted their lives to the cause of destroying their targets. We are their targets, along with millions of others in the world that do not hold the same views as they.
Knowing this, we propose that the United Nations advocate a new convention, that torture should be legalized where in certain situations, to the judgment of those informed in the affairs at hand, and where torture is needed to save innocent lives, and it is definitely known that the criminal in custody has the information to save that innocent life, pre-approved torture tactics may be used without consequence to the instigator.
So what would you want done to save the lives of your family members flying on a potentially explosive plane? You would want them to be safe and saved at all costs. Everybody says they're opposed to torture, but everyone would do it personally if they knew it could save the life of a kidnapped child who had only 2 hours of oxygen left before death. And it would be the right thing to do.
Well, when we went through Ranger training and some of the training in the military, they used some of these enhanced interrogation techniques on us to teach us what it was like, that in fact we could survive interrogation. So we went through waterboarding, we went through CS gas, we went through a technique that I've described as being you're down on your knees, they place a rod behind your knees and tie your hands behind you with your hands tied to your feet, so that the only way you get relief from the pain of the rod crunching between the backs of your knees is to stand up. And the reality is your hands are tied so that you can't stand up very far and you can't stay in that position very long. And so to leave you in that position for a long time is extremely painful, however, not life-threatening.
And when you were in this situation, when you had these things practiced on you, what would your mindset be? Say you were in their position and you had information that was vital. Would this cause you to want to give up the information? Would you say anything to get out of it, or do you think this is an effective use of interrogation techniques?
No, that's kind of interesting, because that's what goes through your mind. You're in a situation where you're experiencing excruciating pain that you cannot even imagine having to go through. And you know that you've just recently gone through a course that teaches you that you don't give up any information at all, name, rank, and serial number. What happens is, when you get in the position of suffering the torture, you're pretty much willing to say whatever they want to hear. What do you want to hear? I'm going to tell you. To be honest with you, I don't remember giving up information, but I do remember that if I had to suffer this much longer, I probably would have, because it didn't seem to me that it was reasonable that somebody in my country would expect me to not say whatever needs to be said. And in reality, I felt like I was not violating much because I didn't have any information to give anyway.